Mush mushy. This is Spiffy Tay, and we are back with the Book of Mormon. We'll be starting the first book of Nephi. Right here. His reign and ministry. We'll read this little top part before we start the chapter here. An account of Lehi and his wife Sarah and his 4 sons being called, beginning at the eldest, Lamiel, Sam, and Nephi. The Lord warns Lehi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Nephi taketh his brethren and returneth to the land of Jerusalem after the record of the Jews. The accountants of their sufferings. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife. They take their families and depart into the wilderness. Their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness, the course of their travels. They come to large waters. Nephi's brethren rebel against him. He confoundeth them and buildeth a ship. They called the name of the place Bountiful. They crossed large waters into the promised land, and so forth. This is according to the account of Nephi, or in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this account. Chapter 1. It's got a little thing on the top here, like a little brief thing about the chapter here. So Nephi begins the record of his people. Lehi sees in vision a pillar of fire and reads from a book of prophecies. He promises God. He praises God for telling the coming of the Messiah and prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem. He is persecuted by the Jews about 600 BC. Chapter 1. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all learnings of my fathers, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceeding in my days. Yea, I made a record in the language of my father, which consists of the language of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. And I know that the record of which I make is true, and I make it with my own hands, and I make it according to my knowledge. And it come to pass in the commandments of the first year of the reign of Zechariah, king of Judah, my father Lehi, having dwelt in Jerusalem in all his days. And in the same year there came many prophesying unto the people that they must repent, or the great city of Jerusalem must be destroyed. Wherefore it came to pass that my father Lehi, as he went forth, prayed unto the Lord, yea, even with all his heart in behalf of his people. And it came to pass, as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire and dwelt upon a rock before him. And he saw and heard much, and because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. And it came to pass that he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the spirit and the things which he had seen. And being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision. Even then he saw the heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne, surrounded with numberless concourses of angels in the altitude of singing and praising their God. One descending out of the midst of heavens, and he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. And he also saw 12 others following him, and their brightness did exceed that of the stars in the firmament. And they came down and went forth upon the face of the earth. And the first came and stood before my father, and gave unto him a book, and bade him that he should read. And it came to pass that as he read, he was filled with the Spirit of the Lord. And he reads, saying, Woe, woe unto Jerusalem, for I have seen thine abominations. Yea, many things did my father read concerning Jerusalem, that it should be destroyed, and the inhabitants thereof. Many should perish by the sword, and many should be carried away by captive into Babylon. And it came to pass, when my father had read and seen many great and marvelous things, and he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as great and marvelous things thy works, O Lord God Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, and thy power and goodness and mercy are all over the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou art not suffer those who come unto thee, and that they shall perish. And after this manner was the language of my father in the praising of his God. For his soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled, because of the things which he had seen, yea, which is the Lord had shown unto him. And now I, Nephi, did make a full account of the things which my father hath written, and he hath written many things in which he saw in visions and in dreams. And he also hath written many things which he hath prophesied and spake unto his children, which I shall not make a full account. But I shall make an account of my proceeding in my days. Behold, I make an abridgment of the record of my father upon the plates which I had made with mine own hands. Wherefore, after I had abridged the recording of my father, then I will make an account of my own life. Therefore I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shown so many marvelous things unto my father Lehi, yea, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem, behold, he went forth among the people and began to prophesy and declare unto them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them. And he truly testified of their wickedness and their abominations. And he testified the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of the Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. And when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him, yea, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast out and stoned and slain. And they also sought his life, that they might take it away. But behold, I, Nephi, will show unto you the tender mercy of the Lord are all over those who he hath chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty, even unto the power of deliverance. Chapter 2. Lehi takes his family into the wilderness by the Red Sea. They leave their property. Lehi offers a sacrifice to the Lord and teaches his son to keep the commandments. Laman and Lemuel murmur against their father. Nephi is obedient in praise and faith. The Lord speaks to him, and he is chosen to rule over his brethren. Let's start that chapter. For behold, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto my father, yea, even in a dream, and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Lehi, because of the things which thou hast done, and because thou hast been faithful and declared unto this people that things which I commanded thee, behold, they seek to take away thy life. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded my father, even in a dream, that he should take his family and depart into the wilderness. And it came to pass that he was obedient unto the word of the Lord. Wherefore he did as the Lord commanded him. And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness. And he left his house and the land of his inheritance, and his gold, and his silver, and his precious things. He took nothing with him, saved it were his family and provisions and tents, and departed into the wilderness. And he came down by the borders near the shores of the Red Sea. And he came down near the borders of the Red Sea, and he traveled into the wilderness in the border. I just read that. And he did travel in the wilderness with his family, which consisted of my mother Sarah and my oldest brothers, who were Laman, Lamuel, and Sam. And it came to pass that when he had traveled 3 days into the wilderness, he pitched his tent in the valley by the side of a river of water. And it came to pass that he built an altar of stone and made an offering unto the Lord, and gave thanks unto the Lord our God. And it came to pass that he called the name of the river Lemon, and it emptied into the Red Sea. And in the valley was in the border near the mouth thereof. And when my father saw that the waters of the river emptied into the fountain of the Red Sea, he spake unto Lemon, saying, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this river, continually running into the fountain of all righteousness. And he also spake unto Lamuel, Oh, that thou mightiest be like unto this valley, firm and steadfast, and immovable in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Now this he spake because of the stiff-neckedness of Laman and Lemuel. For behold, they did murmur in many things against their father, because he was a visionary man, and he had led them out of the land of Jerusalem to leave the land of their inheritance, and their gold and their silver and their precious things to perish into the wilderness. And this they said he had done because of the foolish imagination of his heart. And thus Laman and Lemuel, being the eldest, did murmur against their father. And they did murmur because they knew not the dealings of that God who had created them. Neither did they believe that Jerusalem, the great city, could be destroyed according to the words of the prophets. And they were like unto the Jews who were at Jerusalem, who sought to take the life of my father. And it came to pass that my father did speak unto them in the valley of Lemuel, with the power, being filled with spirit, unto their frames did shake before him. And he did confound them, that they durst not utter against him. Wherefore they did as he commanded them. And my father dwelt in a tent, and it came to pass that I, Nephi, being extremely young, nevertheless being large in stature, and also having great desire to know the mysteries of God, wherefore I did cry unto the Lord, and behold, he did visit me, and did soften my heart, and I did believe all the words which had been spoken by my father. Wherefore I did not rebel against him like unto my brothers. And I also spake unto Sam, making known unto him the things which the Lord had manifested unto me by his Holy Spirit. And it came to pass that he believed in my words. But behold, Laman and Lemuel would not hearken unto my words, and being grieved because of the hardness of their hearts, I cried unto the Lord for them. What a nice guy. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Blessed art thou, Nephi, because of thy faith, for thou hast sought me diligently for lowness of the heart, and insomuch that as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper, and shall be led to the land of promise, yea, even the land which I have prepared for you. Yea, a land which is chosen above all other lands. And insomuch as thy brethren shall rebel against thee, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. And insomuch as thou shalt keep my commandments, thou shalt be made a ruler and teacher over thy brethren. For behold, in the day that they shall rebel against me, I shall curse them even with a sore curse. And they shall have no power over thy seed, except that they shall rebel against me also. And if it should be that they rebel against me, they shall be a scourge unto thy seed to stir them up in the ways of remembrance. Now we're on to chapter 3. Lehi's son returns to Jerusalem to obtain the plates of brass. Laban refuses to give the plates up. Nephi extorts and encourages brethren. Laban steals their property and attempts to slay them. Laman and Laman smite Nephi and Sam and are reposed by an angel. Alright, let's start by chapter here. I don't know if I'm going to keep reading those little brackets there, but it's going to keep going. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, returned from speaking with the Lord to the tent of my father. And it came to pass that he spake unto me, saying, Behold, I had dreamed a dream, in which the Lord hath commanded me, that thou and thy brethren shall return to Jerusalem. For behold, Laban hath the record of the Jews, and also a genealogy of my forefathers, and they are engraving upon the plates of brass. Wherefore the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brothers should go unto the house of Laban, and seek the records, and bring them down hither into the wilderness. And now, behold, thy brothers murmur, and saying, it is a hard thing which I have required of them. But behold, I have not required it of them, but it was a commandment of the Lord. Therefore, go, my sons, and thou shalt be favored of the Lord, because thou hast not murmured. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, said unto my father, I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded me. For I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them that they may accomplish things which he commandeth them. And it came to pass that when was exceedingly glad, for he knew that I had been blessed of the Lord. And I, Nephi, my brethren, took our journey into the wilderness with our tents, to go up to the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that when we had gone up to the land of Jerusalem, I and my brother did consult one another, and we cast lots who of us should go into the house of Laban. And it came to pass that the lot fell onto Laman, and Laman went unto the house of Laman and Laban. Wow. Isn't that confusing? It's like, who am I talking about? It's Laman. That's Nephi's brother. And they're going to the house of Laban. Great. And he desired of Laban the records which were engraved onto the plates of brass which contained the genealogy of my father. And behold, it came to pass that Laban was angry and thrust him out of his presence, and he would not that he should have the records. Wherefore he said unto him, Behold, thou art a robber, and I shall slay thee. But Laman fled out of his presence, and told the things which Laban had done unto us. And we began to exceedingly sorrowful, and my brethren were about to return unto my father into the wilderness. But behold, I said unto them, that hath the Lord liveth, and we live, we will not go down to our father into the wilderness until we have accomplished the things which the Lord hath commanded us. Wherefore let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Therefore let us go down to the land of our fathers' inheritance. For behold, he left gold and silver and all manners of riches. And all this he hath done because of the commandments of the Lord. And he knew that Jerusalem must be destroyed because of the wickedness of the people. For because they have rejected the words of the prophet. Wherefore, if my father should dwell into the land after he hath been commanded to flee out of the land, behold, he would also perish. Wherefore it must needs be that he fled out of the land. And behold, it is the wisdom in God that we should obtain these records, that we may preserve unto our children the language of our fathers, and also that we may preserve unto them the words which have been spoken by the mouth of all the holy prophets, which have been delivered unto them by the Spirit and power of God, since the world began, even down unto this present time. And it came to pass that after this manner of language did I persuade my brethren that they might be faithful in keeping the commandments of God. And it came to pass that we went down to the land of our inheritance, and we did gather together our gold and silver and our precious things. Well, thank goodness no one took that, right? I mean, they've been gone for a couple days, probably a few weeks, and all their stuff is just still there. Mm-hmm. That's insane. And it came to pass that we went down to the land of our inheritance, and we did gather our gold and our silver and our precious things. And after we had gathered these things together, we went up again onto the house of Laban. Yep. And it came to pass that we went unto Laban and desired him that he would give unto us the records which were engraved onto the plates of brass, for which would give unto him our gold and our silver and our precious things. And it came to pass that when Laban saw our property, and that it was exceedingly great, he did lust after it, insomuch he thrust us out and sent in service to slay us, that he might obtain our property. And it came to pass that we did flee before the servant of Laban, and we did obtain to leave behind our profits, and it fell into the hand of Laban. And it came to pass that we fled into the wilderness. And the servants of Laban did not overtake us, and we hid ourselves in the captivity of a rock. In the cavity of a rock. There we go. And it came to pass that Laman was angry with me, and also with my father. And he also was Lamuel, for he had hearkened unto the words of Laman. Wherefore Laman and Lamuel did speak many hard words unto us, their younger brothers, and they did smite us even with a rod. And it came to pass, as they smote with us with the rod, behold, an angel of the Lord and stood before us, and he spake unto them, saying, Why do ye smite your younger brothers with a rod? Know ye not the Lord hath chosen him to be a ruler over you? And this because of your iniquity? Behold, ye shall go out to Jerusalem again, and the Lord will deliver Laban into your hands. And after the Lord had spoken unto us, he departed. And after the angel had departed, Laman and Lamuel again began to murmur, saying, How is it possible that the Lord will deliver Laban into our hands? Behold, he is a mighty man, and he commanded 50, yea, even he can slay 50, then why not us? Now we'll be on to chapter 4. This has got a small bracket here. Nephi slays Laban at the Lord's command. And then he secures the plates of brass by stratagem. Soram chooses to join Lehi's family into the wilderness. Alright, let's get to that. Chapter 4. And it came to pass that I spake unto my brethren, saying, Let us go up again unto Jerusalem, and let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. For behold, he is mightier than all the earth. Then why not be mightier than Laban and his 50, yea, even than his tens of thousands? Therefore, let us go up, let us be strong, like unto Moses. For he truly spat onto the waters of the Red Sea, and they divided hither and thither. Of our fathers came through out of captivity on dry ground, and the armies of the Pharaoh did follow and were destroyed in the waters of the Red Sea. Now behold, ye know that this is true, and ye also know that an angel hath spoken unto you. Wherefore can ye doubt? Let us go up to the Lord, is able to deliver us, even our fathers, to destroy Laban, even as the Egyptians. Now, when I had spoken these words, they were yet worse, and did still continue to murmur. Nevertheless, they did follow me up onto where we came without the walls of Jerusalem, and it was by night that I caused that they should hide themselves without the walls. And after they had hid themselves, I, Nephi, creeped into the city and went forth towards the house of Laban. Excuse me. And I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things which I should do. Nevertheless, I went forth, as I came near unto the house of Laban. And I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. And when I came to him, I found that it was Laban, and I beheld his sword, and I drew it forth from the sheath thereof. And the hilt thereof was pure gold, and the workmanship thereof was exceedingly fine. And I saw the blade thereof was the most precious steel. And it came to pass that I was constrained by the Spirit that I should kill Laban. But I said into my heart, never at any time have I shed the blood of man. And I shrunk, and would that I might not slay him. And the Spirit said unto me again, behold, the Lord hath delivered him into thine hands. Yea, and I also knew that he had sought to take away my own life. Yea, and he would not hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, and he also had taken away our properties. And it came to pass that the Spirit said unto me, slay him, for the Lord hath delivered him into the hands. Behold, the Lord slayeth the wicked to bring forth the righteous purpose. It is better that one man should perish than that a nation should dwindle and perish in unbelief. And now, when I, Nephi, had heard these words, I remembered the words of the Lord, which he had spake unto me into the wilderness, saying that insomuch as thy seed shall keep my commandments, they shall prosper in the land of the promise. Yea, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the laws of Moses, save they should have the law. And I also knew that the law was engraved upon the plates of brass. And again I knew that the Lord had delivered Laban into my hand for this cause, that I might attain the records according to his commandments. Therefore I did obey the voice of the Spirit, and took Laban by the hair of his head, and I smote his head with his own sword. Damn. Was that necessary? Like, did you have to chop his head off? And after I had smitten off his head with his own sword, I took his the garments of Laban, and put them on my own body, yea, even every whit, and I did gird on to his armor about my loins. Not only did he chop his head off, he took all his clothes too. Took his shoes, took his shirt, everything. I cannot, okay. And after I had done this, I went forth unto the treasury of Laban. And I went forth towards the treasury of Laban. Behold, I saw the servant of Laban, who had the keys of the treasury. And I commanded him in the voice of Laban that he should go with me into the treasury. And he supposed me to be his master Laban, for he beheld the garments and also the sword girded about my loins. Well, I guess that makes sense. And he spake unto me concerning the elders of the Jews, and he knowing that his master Laban had been out by night among them. And I spake unto him as if it had been Laban. And I also spake unto him that I should carry the engravings which were upon the plates of brass to my elder brethren who were without the walls. And I also bade him that he should follow me. And he supporting that I spake of the brethren of the church, and that I was truly that Laban who I had slain, wherefore he did follow me. And he spake unto me many things concerning the elders of the Jews. As I went forth unto my brothers who were without the walls, and it came to pass that when Laman saw me, he was exceedingly frightened, and also Laman and Sam. And they fled from before my presence, for they supposed it was Laban, and that he had slain me, and had sought to take away their lives also. And it came to pass that I called after them, and they did hear me, wherefore they did cease to flee from my presence. And it came to pass that the servant of Laban beheld my brethren. He began to tremble, and was about to flee from before me, and returned to the city of Jerusalem. And now I, Nephi, being a man large in stature, and also receiving much strength of the Lord, therefore I did seize upon the servant of Laban, and held him that he should not flee. And it came to pass that I spake with him, that if he would hearken unto my words, as the Lord liveth, and as I live, even so that he would hearken unto our words, we would spare his life. And I spake unto him even with an oath, that he should not fear, and that he should be a free man, like unto us, if he would go into the wilderness with us. And also spake unto him, saying, Surely the Lord hath commanded us to do these things, and shall we not be diligent in keeping the commandments of the Lord? Therefore, if thou wilt go down into the wilderness to my father, thou shalt have a place with us. And it came to pass that Zoram did take the courage at the words which I spake. Now Zoram was the name of the servant, and he promised that he would go down into the wilderness unto our father. Yea, and he also made an oath unto us that he would tarry with us from that time forth. Now were we desirous that he should tarry with us for this case, that the Jews might not know concerning our flight into the wilderness, lest they should pursue us and destroy us. And it came to pass that when Zoram had made an oath unto us, our fears did cease concerning him. And it came to pass that we took the plates of brass and the servant of Laban, and departed into the wilderness, and journeyed onto the tent of our father. Alright, now we're on to chapter 5. Here's a little bracket here. Sarah complains against Lehi. Both rejoice over the return of their sons. They offer sacrifice. The plates of brass contain writings of Moses and the prophets. Plates identify Lehi as descendants of Joseph. Lehi prophesies concerning his seed and the preservation of the plates. Let's get to that. Chapter 5, here we go. And it came to pass that after we had come down into the wilderness unto our fathers, behold, he was filled with joy, And also my mother Sarah was exceedingly glad, for she truly had mourned because of us, for she had supposed we had perished into the wilderness. And she also had complained against my father, telling him that he, a visionary man, saying, Behold, thou hast led us forth from the land of our inheritance, and my sons are no more, and we should perish into the wilderness. And after this manner of language had my mother complained against my father. And it came to pass that my father spake unto her, saying, I know that I am a visionary man, for I had not seen the things of God. In a vision I should not have known the goodness of God, but had tarried at Jerusalem, and had perished with my brethren. But behold, I have attained a land of promise, in which things I do rejoice. And I know that the Lord will deliver my sons out of the hand of Laban, and bring them down again unto us in the wilderness. And after this manner of language did my father Lehi comfort my mother Sarah concerning us, while we journeyed into the wilderness up to the land of Jerusalem to obtain the record of the Jews. And when we returned to the tent of my father, behold, their joy in full, and my mother was comforted. And she spake, saying, Now I know for a surety that the Lord hath commanded my husband to flee into the wilderness. Yea, and I also know of a surety that the Lord hath protected my sons, and delivered them out of the hands of Laban, and given them powers whereby they could accomplish the things which the Lord hath commanded them. And after this manner of language did she speak. And it came to pass that they did rejoice exceedingly, and did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto the Lord. And they gave thanks unto the Lord of Israel. And after they had given thanks unto the Lord of Israel, my father Lehi took the records which were engravings upon the plates of brass, and he did search them from the beginning, and he beheld that they did contain the 5 books of Moses, which gave an account of the creation of the world, and also of Adam and Eve, who were our first parents. And also a record of the Jews from the beginning, even down to the commandments of the reign of Zechariah, king of Judah. And also the prophecies of the holy prophets from the beginning, even down to the commandments of the reign of Zechariah. And also many prophets which have been spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah. And it came to pass that my father Lehi also found upon the plates of brass a genealogy of his fathers, wherefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph. Yea, even that Joseph who wrote this, who was a son of Jacob, who was sold into Egypt, and who was preserved by the hand of the Lord, and that he might preserve his father Jacob and all his household from perishing with famine. And they were also led out of captivity and out of the land of Egypt by the same God who had preserved them. And thus my father Lehi did discover the genealogy of his fathers. And Laban also was a descendant of Joseph, wherefore he and his father had kept the records. And now, when my father saw all these things, he was filled with the Spirit, and began to prophesy concerning his seed. Wherefore he said that these plates of brass should never perish, neither should they be dimmed any more by time. And he prophesied many things concerning his seed. And it came to pass that thus far I and my father had kept the commandments wherewith the Lord had commanded us. And we had attained the records which the Lord had commanded us, and searched them, and found that they were desirable, yea, even of a great worth unto us, insomuch that we could preserve the commandments of the Lord unto our children. Wherefore it was a wisdom in the Lord that we should carry them with us as we journeyed into the wilderness towards the land of promise.
Okay.
Now on to chapter 6. I'm just going to read chapter 6. It's kind of short, and we'll call that for the day. Nephi writes the things of God. Nephi's purpose is to persuade men to come unto God of Abraham and be saved. And now I, Lehi, do not give the genealogy of my fathers in this part of my record, neither at any time should I give it after upon these plates which I am writing, for it has given in the record which has been kept by my father. Wherefore I do not write it in this work, for it sufficient me to say that we are the descendants of Joseph, and it matters not to me that I am particular to give a full account of all the things of my father, for they cannot be written upon these plates. They can't. For I desire the room that I may write of things of God, for the fulfillment of mine intent is that I may persuade men to come unto the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and be saved. Wherefore the things which are pleasing unto the world I do not write, but the things which are pleasing unto God, and unto those who are not of this world. Wherefore I shall give commandment unto my seed that they shall not occupy these places with the things which are not worth unto the children of men. That is the end of chapter 6. Alright. I'm going to call that a day, and next time we start, we'll do chapter 7. So this episode will be chapter 1 through 6, and the next one we'll start with chapter 7.
Wow.
So, thank you all for joining me in this reading of the Book of Mormon. I hope y'all enjoying First Nephi so far. And I hope to see you again when we continue First Nephi. This is Spiffy Tate signing out. Bye-bye.